Hey, and welcome to another episode of Ancient Shit, where I ramble at you about whatever's on my mind while I'm going to be doing my hair and my face today. So, yeah, whatever. So today we're going to be talking about astrology in the ancient Greco-Roman world, doubling a little bit of how it works-ish. Anyway, let's get into it. So the underlying idea of astrology is that the movements and positions of celestial things, that being the planets, the sun, the moon, asteroids, all of that jazz, affects life here on Earth, or it is the workings of divine powers. In the ancient Greco-Roman world, some theorize this to be a causal thing, so like the stars moved and then things happened on Earth, while others believed it to be symbolic. So the stars reflected things that the gods were doing on Earth. So astrology was kind of proven in ancient times by the fact that the sun moves different positions in the sky. So it moves from east, journeys through the sky, and then ends up setting in the west. All of this would cause light and darkness. Also, its distance, or its perceived distance in the sky, would affect the changing seasons. So the sun having a real effect on Earth. It was also proven by the moon, so it was observed that the moon affected the seas, the tides, and those observations all increased the validity of astrology. Because of this, it was extrapolated that the observed planets must too have an effect on the seasons, on life on Earth. It was believed that these planets held just as much an effect as the sun and the moon. At its core, this pretty much comes down to the belief that there is an intrinsic connection across the cosmos between everything. What happens in the heavens happens down here on Earth, and vice versa. As above, so below, as within, so without. This was known as sympathia, like affects like. Just as we on Earth can cause effect on one another physically, emotionally, it too was believed that the planets could affect each other, which we know to be true. They affect each other's orbits. And therefore, it was theorized that and believed that just as those affect each other, the planets affect us just the same. We are, of course, living on a planet, Earth, so it makes sense that we as little entities on this floating rock would also be affected by other floating rocks. Ancient astrology. It was observed that there were fixed stars, and the sun, the moon, and the planets being the observable ones, which were Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. They all move across this backdrop of fixed stars. The way that they moved provided a position compared to the fixed stars as well as compared to each other. So their position in amongst the fixed stars as well as the position to one another determined a lot of things. Those celestial bodies didn't follow the traditional path of the set stars, which was rising in the east, setting in the west. They kind of went at their own pace, either moving really fast, slower, some moving backwards, which is when you have retrograde. It was their changing positions that indicated their influence over Earth. So the astrologer calculates these planets' positions from Earth, from their perspective on Earth. This is done by imagining a spherical heaven rotating around a spherical Earth in the center. So as I said before, through this idea of a spherical Earth inside, at the center of a spherical heaven, it was observed that there was fixed stars that rose in the east, journeyed across the sky, and set in the west. And so too do the sun and the planets and the moon, rising in the east, setting in the west. It was also noted that even though stars fill the sky, the sun and the planets only tend to move in a very narrow set path, which was around 8 degrees of the line of the sun's path. This is known as the ecliptic. So the constellations in this band around the ecliptic is known as the zodiac signs. I also think it's cool that some of these constellations were noted way before Greco-Roman astrology at all. And they were important within Babylonian culture. So when I say they were noted, these are like centuries before Greco-Roman astrology was even a thought in a Bible. But we still tend to use the Latinized names rather than the Babylonian ones. So a planet is considered to be in the sign of something when it's within that 30-degree window of where that constellation sits around the ecliptic band. The reason why the 30-degree window is used is because not all the constellations are evenly distributed around that band. So 30 degrees gives you enough of a leeway for that constellation, that specific zodiac, to claim that space in the sky, if that makes sense. But because astrology uses a geocentric approach, obviously we know now that the planets don't orbit around the Earth, they actually orbit around the sun, us included. But astrology takes a geocentric approach, and because of that, and it's all based on observation, because of that, that's why you can have the planets appear to move slower through certain signs, faster through others. It can also appear to move backwards. And the sun is included in this as well from a geocentric point of view. The sun can look to appear to move faster and slower through the signs of Aries and Taurus and Aries to Pisces. Like, it really just depends. And that's based on the fact that 24 hours in a day isn't a perfect actual time of the sun, if that makes sense. And then you flow it, like add in all of the tilt of the earth. You also add in the fact that we have equinoxes and solstices and all of that. All of that affects the observance of how fast the sun moves through things. But yeah, anyway, this was a fun ramble. I didn't even get to do my hair, so I just started yapping. Wild washed hair. Bye!